Roblox story time. So, there was this one time that I was at the park with one of my friends and one of their friends. At the time I didn't really like their friend, but I didn't care at all. I let her have her own friends because, I didn't want to be one of those friends who's like, oh, you can't have any friends or anything. And so, we were at the grade school park, and this was right by our house, and we were playing tag. And my friend's friend was a boy, and he had very curly hair. His mom was sitting in the car because he wasn't allowed to go places without his mom, because his mom was restricted that. And my friend was having a sleepover at my house. So since my house was right there, we invited him to come to the park since we could go. My parents wouldn't care. We were playing tag. Since he has these really curly hair, I'm reaching down because he's down, like, hiding. Like, we were playing hide and seek tag, I think, and he was hiding, so I tag his hair, like his head, right? Which then when I'm swiping my fingers away, like you can imagine, like if you swiped your hand on your head, my fingers caught in his hair. And when that happened, I was running, right? And so, like, I'm just dragged his hair practically off of his head. Kind of, like, you could imagine that. And then he's screaming and crying. So my dad hears that, and he runs from our house to the park because he thinks that I'm hurt, or my friend's hurt, or he's hurt or something. His mom comes out of their car, screaming at me. Like, I don't know this lady. I've never met his parents. And she's screaming at me like I did something wrong. How was I supposed to control that he has fluffy hair? Also, I love his hair. But my dad comes back. He's yelling cuss words at her and all that stuff. And, like, nobody knows. Me and my friend are crying, like, have no clue, because me and my friend are freaking out because we think that my dad's yelling at us, but really yelling at her. And she's yelling back at him, and we have no clue what's going on at this point. We're, like, literally just screaming, crying, no clue. My dad's like, did you hurt them? Why are they crying? What is your deal, lady? Leave now. Because, like, we kind of were, like, those family that, like, we live by the park, so if you are at the park and you are hurting our children, we will get you kicked off the park. By the way, the next day he wasn't at school. We didn't know why. So apparently his mom moved him just because of one little incident of him. And he even told his mom, it's fine, sorry that I was being overly dramatic at the park. He's like, you don't need to be so dramatic, yelling at his mom. And his mom dragged her child by the hair, screaming cuss words at me because I did something wrong to her child to make him talk back. Like, how am I supposed to do that? Like, your child does what they want. I can't control them. So, and my dad's yelling at me, get back to the house, please. I don't want any drama or anything. Like, not yelling at me because I didn't do anything wrong. My friend is bawling her eyes out. She thinks that she's in trouble because she decided that we play. So she tells his mom, please don't do anything drastic. It was just an accident. And by the way, it was my fault. It wasn't her fault at all. And you know what she says to her? By the way, my friend told me this, so this is how I know this. She says, that little girl right there, she's a bitch, and nobody needs to care about her at all. You can just come be friends with us in this neighborhood, blah, 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 whatever neighborhood that they said. I don't remember. And you can come live with us. And you can just completely forget about her, and just in general. You can just forget that she even exists. By the way, these children, she barely even knows his mom at this time. And so she's like, no thanks. I think I'm just gonna go hang out with her now. And, she's like, bitch, you better get in this car now. So, like, trying to kidnap her while she was having a sleepover at my house. And, she runs to my house screaming my dad's name. She's like, help! She's trying to kidnap me. And I screamed cuss words at her, and, they got sued. And they got forced out of their house because it was on the news that she abused me. She kind of did. She did slap me in the face when my dad walked out and saw. And so, that didn't end too well for her. But nobody cares about her. And her son even tried running towards me and apologizing and saying, oh, I'm so sorry that I didn't mean to make my mom come out or anything. He was so precious, and I literally feel so bad that he had to move just because this. And by the way, he was so upset that he had to move. He said that just because of my little mistake, I have to move because of my mom's decisions. And I said, that is so stupid. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that this is all my fault. And he's like, no, it's my fault, I promise. And when this happens, he has no clue what's going on. Like, is freaking out. Like, wants to know what's happening, but, like, can't figure it out because his mom is crazy. And the CPS took him from his parent because apparently she was going crazy on drugs. If you know what that means, then I am very happy because I cannot say it because it's very not okay for the little kids that probably are watching this right now to listen to that. So yeah, so that when that happened, she tried to sue us. As you can tell, that didn't end very well for her, and then she committed suicide on the news. We found that out, and we're like so confused because like we didn't do this. This was all her. Like, she's like, oh yeah, they made CPS, they called CPS on me, and this is all their fault, and like blamed it. Even like had a whole note about it, and like when we were watching the news, we were like, oh my gosh, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Because I pulled her kid's hair, she committed suicide? No. She committed suicide for many other reasons, but I'm not going to say them, and that is the end of that story time. So I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm going to do another story time. This story time is about, I think if my sister watches this, I think she might know what I'm talking about, but I don't think so at the same time. So, the last one is what I'm saying, for if she does watch this. So this was a different friend. We're gonna name her, I'm trying to think of a name, sorry. We're gonna name her Eveline. Eveline and I were best friends. Like, no one will separate us. By the way, the friend that was friends with that dude in that last story time, she just completely stopped talking to me after a few weeks after that happened. So yeah, she just kind of ignored me stuff because she thought that it was my fault that she got yelled at by her parents when they got home, because apparently his mom went and told her mom, so her mom got mad at her. So I think it was because her mom forbade her from seeing me, and so that's why she was ignoring me, but who knows. And by the way, I've never talked to that girl ever again. So this time it was like, I don't know, 3rd or 4th grade, I think, maybe. Well, whatever, it was 3rd or 4th grade, I'm pretty sure. And we were on the playground, and I'm over here thinking, no, why don't we play tag? We're playing tag, having a great time. Nobody's caring what's happening. We're playing tag. And this was one of my favorite games ever. So we're playing it. All of a sudden we hear a kid scream. We're like, what's wrong? And the teachers immediately yell for all of us to come inside. Immediately. Not even gonna check what's going on. Just immediately screams for us to come. So we, there's a few kids who don't care and aren't gonna listen to the teacher. So I run, go snatch some of them by the hair, some of them by the arms, because, I'm gonna snatch them as much as possible because the teacher's screaming our names and screaming our class numbers and stuff. And, so apparently those kids could have died if it wasn't for me. Other kids followed after they saw what was probably going to happen to them if they didn't come. And so there was a murderer that was loose at our school. I'm not gonna explain a bunch, but like they were in the playground, right? Like they were at the school in the playground area, and the kid screamed because they saw a man in the bushes watching her, do her business because she couldn't go to the bathroom because the teachers wouldn't let us inside. So she screamed, and the guy pulled out a knife, and that's why she screamed. Because she saw eyes, but she thought maybe it's just an animal, so that's fine. And this was a girl in my class too, so like she said, I saw eyes, and I thought maybe it was just an animal, but apparently it wasn't. Because, I could have died. I'm like, yeah, you could have died, and I'm glad that you didn't die, because, girl, this was like my best friend that this happened to, so when she told me this, I was like, girl, what? And, she was like, okay, be quiet, because I think I hear something, and she tells the teacher. She raises her hand, and the teacher's like, comes up to her, and she says, I think I hear something in the vents, so we need to get out of the classroom immediately. And, this was the girl who had hearing aids, so could hear every little thing. And we all listened to her, because normally when she said that she heard something, it probably will happen. So the murderer was in the vents, and the cops listened to the little girl, aka my best friend, that says, I think he's in the vents, and caught him, and this is what he said. This is what he said because he had to confess what happened. He says, I was gonna jump down on all those children and shoot them all. And I was freaking out when I heard that this is what he was gonna do. My friend went, aren't you glad you guys listened to me? And I went, yeah, I am. Also, by the way, at this time I was bawling my eyes out when we found out. And then he pointed to me with his face. I went, what's with me? Why? And then that's what I'm thinking. And then so I look back at him and I said, F-U-M-F. Like, if y'all know what that means, y'all know what that means. But like, I told him, cops, get him out of here. And, they brought him out. He's uncuffed in the car, but the cars are shut down, locked, everything. He points to me, and all my classmates run in the building. And I'm just chilling there like, bitch, if you point to me, I go up to the car, and the cops are like, don't do this. And by the way, I'm in like 3rd or 4th grade, so like I'm like, this was like last year or the year before, because I'm in 5th now. I went, roll down the window. So I'm like sacrificing my life at this point. I'm like, if you ever, I tell the cops to come here. I like wave them like, come here, without saying anything before they roll down the windows. I told him, if you ever try and escape jail ever again, it won't end well. And he kind of got scared because I was one of the bravest kids out of them. And I said, you might die. You might eventually die if you try and kill somebody. Because then, I think this is actually in 3rd grade that this happened, because like, just last year in Uvalde, a bunch of kids died. And I said, oh, I have some people who can kill you if you get out again. So he looked at me straight up and literally tried to strangle me. And I grabbed his arm again. And I'm not even being overly dramatic, I promise. I grabbed his arm. I didn't tell anybody about this until just now. I'm telling all of y'all. I did not tell my parents about this. The school didn't tell anybody because they didn't want to stress out the parents. Until stupid Uvalde stressed out every parent in the entire world. If y'all know, y'all know. So that is it. By the way, just so y'all know, I'm trying to cover this entire park. This is my private server in a bunch of random colors, so I will have a bunch of videos and stuff on that. So bye guys.